Oh, welcome everybody. I want to thank you all for taking your time today to hear about where we landed with our 2027 through 2031 state plan for the Iowa DD Council. My name is George Thompson. I'm the executive chairman of the council. And actually on that first screen there's a redhead with glasses and a leopard print dress. That's my daughter. So I'm a family advocate who is working to make Iowa the best place to live, learn, play, and work for Iowans with disabilities. And so a big part of how we drive that is through the state plan. So we'll be talking about the background of what sort of work goes into the state plan, go into it in detail, and then most importantly, answer questions that you might have about the plan. So if you want to follow along with the full state plan, there is a link and also a QR code that you can scan, and that should take you to the plan. And then I want to hit on just a couple of housekeeping things. So if you're not speaking, please stay muted while others are. If you do have questions or comments while we're presenting, please just send them in the chat using the chat function. If you'd like to speak, please use the raise hand, and that is under the reactions button on the screen. And then there's also a closed captioning feature at the bottom of your screen. And Peggy, our ASL interpreter, will be pinned at the top of the screen as well.
Great, okay. Thanks, George. Yeah, I think I'm going to take over for these next couple of slides. I'm Brooke Lovelace, Executive Director of the Iowa Developmental Disabilities Council. Thanks for being here today over your lunch hour. So I just want to go over a couple of things about how we got here, how our plan was created, because it is a long process. We just don't do it overnight. So we did form a state plan committee of our council members who met 6 times in the past really year and a half to give input and guide the planning process from the very start to where we are now. And then in our January and March 2025 council meetings, members of our council who represent state agencies provided input into the council regarding priorities and what, from their agency's perspective, what they thought the council should work on. And that includes vocational rehabilitation, Department of Education, the Department of Aging that's within Health and Human Services, the Medicaid Department, the University Centers for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities, Disability Rights Iowa, and the Title V program. So they spent some time at our council meetings chatting with us. And then in the spring, we sought out input from everyone across the state of Iowa. So we sent our state plan survey to more than 9,000 folks across the state to see what they thought were our top needs and activities the council should focus on. We received 368 responses, so we were happy with that. We also had a kind of a virtual conversation similar to what we're doing today with advocates, and that took place in May. Each of our council members also filled out that survey, and we kept those responses separate from the general population. So they gave their strong and thoughtful input to things. And then we hired a consultant to kind of help us review and kind of synthesize the information and organize it in a way that was understandable for everybody. And then our council members met for a planning retreat in May of 2025. From that, a state plan executive summary was developed with all of that input up to that point. And then our state plan committee met and drafted some goals and objectives. We shared that at the November 2025 meeting. Our council members then suggested revisions and additions from November 2025 to March 26. And then a draft plan was approved at the council meeting just this past March. And so that's where we are today. So we are in the public comment period, which is why we're doing this listening session. So we can see if folks think we're on track. And then our plan is due August 15th. And so with that, I think I'm going back to George. Oops.
You bet. Thanks, Brooke. So I'll go over the first goal. So goal number 1, leadership and advocacy. So by 2031, the council will increase opportunities for people with developmental disabilities and their families to improve their knowledge, skills, and active participation in advocacy efforts to drive positive change. So underneath the goal, we then have it broken down by objectives. Each year, we will support more Iowans with developmental disabilities, as well as a variety of other disabilities and their family members to strengthen leadership and self-advocacy goals. Objective 2, support organizations. Oops. Sorry. Let's see. Can we go back? Yeah, there we go. Oh, maybe one more. Oh, Brooke, I think you're on mute, but if we could go back to the goal 1 slide, please. Bear with us, just a little technical difficulty.
About that, guys. I have to apologize. I was trying to listen on to the education subcommittee meeting, and I forgot that it just started. And so then I'm so sorry about that. So you could hear that in the background, I think. And so I couldn't figure out how to shut it off. So I'm sorry about that interruption, George. I will go back to our PowerPoint here so you can. Sure. So sorry about that, everyone.
No worries.
Scared the little crap out of me, though, having to have that pop on just a second for a minute. Okay, here we go. Just move this. Oops, and then I didn't do that. I think we were just on this one,
goal
correct?
1. Yep.
Okay. Sorry about that, George.
Not at all. Okay, so I think we're on objective 1.2. So support organizations and grassroots advocacy groups led by people with disabilities and expand opportunities for people with developmental disabilities to lead, mentor, and strengthen their communities. And then the third objective, provide for opportunities for individuals with disabilities who are subject matter experts to be compensated for their collaboration and leadership on key projects that advance systems change.
Thank you, George, for that. And we should mention that you can see what some of the activities are that we have planned under each of the objectives if you had opened up our state plan. And so those planned activities, or how we're going to take action on those, are not things that have to be voted on or set in stone today. It's just our objectives. But we wanted to make sure that you guys had an idea about what it meant that we were doing under each one of those objectives. So our goal to be, bear with us, this has the most objectives in it, but this is our empowering communities through systems change. So what we want to do by 2031 is to help self and family advocates will advocate to strengthen policies, practices, and disability community services to ensure people with developmental disabilities have the support they need to live healthy, thriving lives. So our first objective that we're going to work on under here, it's through the DD Council resources, advocacy training, and events. People with developmental disabilities, their families, providers, advocates, and other stakeholders can strengthen their engagement with policymakers on issues and legislation that matter to them. So this is like some of our capital chat activities happen, some of our capital grant trainings that we do. You'll see that under Objective 2.1. 2.2 then is it will actively engage and listen to people with developmental disabilities and their families to ensure that the council can inform and educate policy members each year on at least 3 policy issues or proposals that align with the council mission and the DD Act, and that are things that our family members want us to work on. 2.3, this is where we'll support youth with developmental disabilities so they can transition to adulthood along with their families and provide the tools and supports they need to succeed and thrive. And so one of the activities we'll do under here would be our Youth Leadership Academy. And then Objective 2.4, the DD Council will annually collaborate as needed with our partners across the DD network. So all of our DD partner networks like the USAID, Disability Rights Iowa, voc rehab, all of those folks, to respond to natural man-made disasters and public health issues that affect people with developmental disabilities and their families. And then objective 2.5, through training, policy change, technical assistance, and resources, the DD Council will support and collaborate with the DD network, state agencies, community partners, other organizations to increase employment opportunities for people with disabilities, because that's something the council felt strongly that they still wanted to work on, was employment options. As you can see, that there's a lot of folks that we want to partner with to accomplish all this. It's not just the DD Council that will be working on these activities. Our last two then is by 2031, people with developmental disabilities and their families will expand their knowledge, tools, and confidence to advocate for quality, accessible healthcare, engage in healthy behaviors through training, peer support, and learning opportunities. And our final objective, thanks for bearing with us, guys, it's a lot. The DD Council will work with each year the network partners and state agencies to protect disability rights, promote supportive decision-making, and strengthen policies and practices that support adults with disabilities and their families, including people as they age. So that is our objectives for our state plan, under our draft state plan. And now I think George is going to walk us through some questions. So now it's the time we get to hear from you guys.
Yes. So I will kick us off, but like we said at the beginning, feel free to use the chat function, or under the react button there is a method to raise your hand. But we would love to hear any questions or comments that people have for goal 1, which was the leadership and advocacy. And while everybody's still thinking about that, we would also we want to do the same for goal 2. So that's the that longer goal, which was all around empowering our communities through systems change.
Oops. I'm not able to see the chat right now to see. It doesn't look like we have any chat. It did just pop up. So nothing in the chat yet, George.
Okay. Well, we can keep moving on. Does anyone have feedback, questions, concerns overall about the plan as a whole, or are there specific things you like about the plan, or things that potentially you think maybe they're missing about the plan, or that you have concerns with in the plan?
We got a shy group today.
You explained it so well, Brooke. How could anybody have a question? Okay, moving on. Looks like we had a couple other people in the waiting room. Should I go ahead and just say admit? I was trying to look at the chat.
Yeah, I think they're trying to join.
Okay. Okay, so what about anybody have any thoughts on step 5? So Brooke mentioned we don't operate completely by ourselves. We have a lot of great state partners and other agencies that we work with. Anybody aware of groups or others that we should be engaging with to make progress on the plan that we didn't talk about?
Hi, this is Angie.
Hi, Angie.
Hi. I didn't know if your advocacy is connected with other advocacy committees around the state, or how do you collaborate on that front?
That's a great question.
Yeah, thanks, Angie, for that. And I guess I'd be curious to hear who you think we should be collaborating with. We do work pretty closely with the Epilepsy Foundation, with the Brain Injury Association, the ARC of Iowa, the Autism Society. We usually participate in the Olmsted Task Force committee. I'm sure I'm missing some, but is there something that comes to mind, that like an advocacy group that maybe we're not aware of, that you'd want to share?
Probably. So I'm with United Spinal Association of Iowa, and we have an advocacy committee as well. Can you remind me the definition of developmental disability? Because I know it overlaps, but I can't think of the exact wording.
Well, put me on the spot there, but that's usually that's all right. It's usually a disability that has onset prior to the age of, I think it's 22 now.
Okay, so
It's the current disability. And so that could be any type of delay that's before the age of 22.
sure.
But yeah, so I think your organization would qualify as a developmental disability. But then that being said, even though we are mandated to work for folks with developmental disabilities, that doesn't mean that we won't, do some cross advocacy across populations that don't have a developmental disability too. And there could be other advocacy organizations like that we don't, at this point, work that closely with.
So I think the Spina Bifida Association would be a great one to connect with.
Okay, thank you.
Those kiddos, because you're born with that. And then, and I know they have like days on the hills and stuff like that. So I would strongly suggest connecting with them, and then I can get you in touch with our leader of our committee. It's not me personally, so I can connect you guys. But yeah, I just think the more collaborations with, especially with advocacy, I think the more we can move that needle to the positive side.
I appreciate that.
I totally agree. Yeah. No, thank you for that feedback and the days on the hill. That's exactly where my brain went, Angie, is yes, while we specifically focus on those with developmental disabilities, there's so much crossover and things that we're trying to accomplish with other groups that potentially they have their own specific diagnosis they focus on, or even area, even if you think of like APSI, we do things with them, or NAMI, and those are all groups similar to the spina bifida that we definitely would consider, as we plan our capital days or try to increase our impact and reach. The bigger the network, the better. So that's wonderful. And I think I'll move us on to question 6. But of course, if anybody did come up with a question on any of the previous ones, don't feel like you can't ask. We certainly have the time. So how can we develop better relationships with others in the community who may not know us?
This is always a tough one because we struggle with it too.
You could always do a social media campaign. And if you what you can do, like little screenshots and say, click the 3 dots and click on notifications, click what's the wording, allow like all notifications, not like just the default or whatever. And then once someone shows you a screenshot that that's what they did, or forgive me, I don't know all the specifics, but once you do all that, and then if there was a prize drawing or something, you could get more people, because then they would comment and share on your posts if they're seeing all of them.
Great. Thank you, Angie, for that tip. So I think in this one too, we also kind of struggle with like reaching other populations that aren't usually the ones that come to our events, that just maybe are underserved or don't get a lot of resources because they're just not aware that we exist. So if anybody has any suggestions for us on that, we greatly appreciate hearing them. And if you don't, if you need to think on some of these too, you can always email us later with any answers to these questions as well too.
If you have an event page or a post, you can boost it, and it can be as little as like $5. But we've boosted a lot of our event posts, and we've gotten more folks that way, because you can select your demographic when you boost it. So you can say like peer mentoring, or people with physical disabilities or cognitive disability, or I think you can like kind of target and then you can say location, which is state of Iowa or whatever. So I think there's ways you can narrow down. You're still going to get a few outliers and chatbots and stuff like that, but it is usually worth it for the $5 or $10 or whatever.
Do you know, Angie, off the top of your head, and I want to look into that more because that sounds really interesting, but do you know off the top of your head, could you do something along the lines of if we were going to either make a specific post or translate one of our posts into Spanish, could we boost it for Spanish speaking families, for instance? One of the areas that I don't have any good solutions for, and that I worry that we're not doing everything we can is uh, uh, secondary English speakers. So we do get some translation services, and in certain documents we don't have the budget or the scale to be able to just provide all our material in every language people might need, but we still want to make sure we're, if and when we can, we're reaching out and engaging with those communities.
Yeah, you can certainly try it. I don't know all of the,
Yeah.
I'm getting familiar with it myself, so I don't know all the
Yeah.
details.
No,
But,
it's cool. I like researching stuff like that. Awesome. So the last question we had, this can be specific to the plan, or it could just be any observation or anything else you want to speak about in general with the council. We're just always looking for the people who engage with us and read our materials and work with us. We're always seeking feedback, good, bad, or otherwise. Well, again, I really want to thank everybody for your time and engagement today. So, like Brooke said, we don't want this to be the end of any sort of conversation or discussion. As you think through the plan or some of the conversations we had, feel free to reach out to Brooke or myself or contact us through the website. There's some good instructions that contact us at iowaddcouncil.org. And then there's also a SurveyMonkey link so you can use that to provide additional feedback. And then before I turn over Brooke to close us out, I was just going to make one quick plug. I'm actually on purpose, I wore this shirt today because a lot of those pictures that you saw in that first slide are from the Make Your Mark conference. This was our shirt last year. It was a board game themed. And then we've got a great new theme for this year. But if you haven't signed up already for the Make Your Mark conference, please do. We have a great time each year and look forward to seeing everybody there.
Yeah, thanks, George, for that plug. We are doing a call for proposals right now for the conference. So if anybody out there, if you're a person or know somebody that would like to present at our conference, that's available right now. And we're also taking sponsorships and exhibitors. So if anybody would like to do that, that can be on our website too. So thanks, George, for sharing that. But yes, you can. We appreciate you going through the plan with us today, and you can think about it and then take our survey to provide additional public comment, which is that link right there. And Emily, perhaps you could just put that in the chat real quick. I can't paste it and cut it. Well, I guess I could stop sharing and do that. But yes, we appreciate your time today, guys. But yeah, let me just see if we can't get that link. Oh, thank you, Emily, on the spot there. So there's the link to take the survey. But yeah, I think we'll give you back some time for your day then. Thanks for joining, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.